will fall apart within 6 to 9 months. And the great thing about working at Mercatus is that they said, that's okay, we're good with that. But you still have to produce, you've got to show something. And so we do. And so one of our products is, as Dan said, Permissionless Innovation, this book that we've done that talks about the future of disruptive technologies and how they will be governed. And so what I'm going to do for you here today is to talk about the sort of clash of vision that we often see play out in the field of technology policy with each and every new innovation that comes about in our society. A lot of what I'm going to discuss is not only in my book, but in a series of publications that Mercatus has come out with, various law review articles and journal articles that are quite lengthy and quite boring. So I did the book and put it all in less than 100 pages to make it easier to digest. But this is the kind of output that we do at Mercatus that makes us effective, especially in the world of academia, which is why I came to Mercatus, was to connect to youngsters who I just felt were being almost brainwashed with bad ideas and not hearing the other side of the story when it came to innovation policy. And Mercatus gives me an unparalleled ability to actually reach out and talk to these students directly and to these professors and challenge the ideas that are out there in the ivory tower. And I couldn't be more tickled about the fact that I'm increasingly seeing our work assigned in the syllabi for all these different classes, whether they're law classes, econ classes, public policy classes, you name it. So let me just jump right into it. I'm going to start with some questions about technology policy and about innovation. And I want to begin with this question. Where did all of the modern information technology that we take for granted today, where did that all come from? How did that come about so quickly? How did this happen? How did this area of America, Silicon Valley, grow from being just a sleepy little university area in the 60s into this technological juggernaut that it is today? This is a map of all these different companies and corporate logos. I'm not going to read them all off to you, but the fact of the matter is only 2 or 3 of these corporate logos would have even been on that map 30 years ago, HP and a few others. And that doesn't even begin to touch all of the innovators in that space. And of course, that's just Silicon Valley, right? How did that happen so quickly? How did this happen? How did the United States, despite the fact a lot of people are down on the US as not being innovative enough, the reality is that we're a global leader when it comes to digital innovation. This is a survey that's done by Booz Allen. It basically is global most innovative companies. They rank them every year. 9 of the top 10 are based in the United States, and the majority of them are involved in computing, software, and digital technology. Importantly, and I'm going to get to this in a moment, notice the complete absence of any European companies on the list. So, question, how many of you can name any major European innovators in the tech space? Hard to name any, right? Well, here's a few. Shazam, Rovio, Skype, some of these are now American-owned. But look at all these American giants. Look at this US-EU tech imbalance. This is the market caps for billion-dollar companies aggregated, almost $2 trillion worth of value, versus just 120 billion in Europe. That's an incredible imbalance when you think about it. And a really shocking sort of real-world experiment, if you will, is played out on either side of the Atlantic over the last 15 to 20 years in the digital technology space. So much so, this is how big this gap is, America's largest tech giants versus all of Europe. This is just Apple, Google, and Facebook. I mean, even Airbnb alone is larger than all of Germany's big tech companies. Look at this imbalance. Here's Europe innovators, 1995 to 2015, and now there's nobody. There was at least a German company on the list 20 years ago. Now there's nobody from Europe on this side in terms of market capitalization. So, and then think about this. This is even more incredible. How did we get all of these amazing free services that we take for granted today at that great price of $0.00, whether it's Google searches or Facebook social networking or Dropbox storage or Evernote file clipping, you name it, all of these services are available to consumers at that wonderful price of nothing, $0. So how did that happen? Because I came about in an day and age when regulatory economics said the most important variable for consumer welfare is price. We've got to get prices lower. Well, now we've got them down to nothing. That's a pretty amazing development, again, in less than a quarter century. So what was the secret to this? What was the secret sauce that made this all happen? We could probably try to pinpoint 1 or 2 policies. We could talk about taxes. We could talk about trade policies, whatever else. But what I'm going to suggest, and what I suggest in my work at Mercatus, is that it comes down to values, comes down to attitudes, comes down to the idea of permissionless innovation. Permissionless innovation basically refers to the idea that people should be generally free to experiment and learn through trial and error, including failing and seeing what they learn from that failure. The United States embraced that ethos and made it the basis of public policy through a set of decisions in the mid-90s, and we prospered because of it. So when I talk about values and attitudes, many of you probably read Deirdre McCloskey's work, and I think this is really some of the most important work being done today about how what she calls bourgeois virtues basically powered the Industrial Revolution. She says, a big change in common opinions about markets and innovation caused the Industrial Revolution and then the modern world. The result was modern economic growth. My argument with permissionless innovation is just an extension of her work to say the internet is the greatest proof of this ever. We embraced bourgeois virtues through permissionless innovation, and we prospered. Now, this wasn't always the case. Long ago, the internet was very much locked down. This is from an old 1982 MIT handbook to students I found about how the internet should be used. It used to be the ARPANET, that was the predecessor of the internet. It said, it is considered illegal to use the ARPANET for anything which is not in direct support of government business. It is both antisocial and illegal. And it can get MIT in serious trouble with government agencies. Thou shalt not, right? That was the name of it, like a mother may I approach here. Like, if you want to use the internet, you got to get somebody's permission. But we changed all that. First, we opened up the internet in the early 90s to commercial development. And we have Bill Clinton and Al Gore to thank for that. People like to ridicule them, but they did amazing things. Nothing could be more amazing than the document that the Clinton administration published in 1997 called A Framework for Global Electronic Commerce. I'm not kidding, this is probably the most libertarian document any government has ever published in history. It said for the internet, 1, the private sector should lead. The internet should develop as a market-driven arena, not a regulated industry. 2nd, government should avoid undue restrictions on electronic commerce. And 3rd, where government involvement is needed, its aim should be to support and enforce a predictable, minimalist, consistent, and simple legal environment for commerce. Beautiful, beautiful. That's the vision that we have had in the United States for the last 20 years. And the rest is history. That is what powered our technology sector. That's what powered the growth of the internet and the digital revolution that followed. And meanwhile, Europe took the exact opposite approach and floundered. Okay, so hopefully you're with me on this, and this is exciting. But if it's been great for the internet and the digital world, why should we stop there, right? We argue that what's good for cyberspace is good for meat space. That we need the same general approach that we've taken for the internet and digital technologies for many other sectors. So whether it's the world of bits, the digital economy, or the world of atoms, the industrial economy, our general policy default should be innovation allowed, or permissionless innovation. Okay, now what about those risks? Because every new technology, every disruptive technology, has skeptics or critics who say, but wait a minute, there are some downsides, there are some dangers. You've got to be careful. This is what's called precautionary principle thinking. Precautionary principle, many of you probably heard in an environmental context, or maybe sort of food and drug regulation, things like that. It's the idea of sort of crafting public policies to demand that innovators prove there will be no potential dangers or harms that come about because of their new innovations or technology. So, better to be safe than sorry, is the sort of approach here. And it comes to sort of a mother may I regulatory approach. You've got to come and seek someone's blessing before you do something new and interesting that potentially has a downside or a danger associated with it. So this is the antithesis of permissionless innovation. What are these concerns about new technologies? Well, we tend to divide them into 5 buckets at Mercatus. And the first 3 are the ones that probably are driving most policy concerns today about new technology. Privacy-related matters, safety, security, and then economic concerns and IP, intellectual property. Economic concerns would be the traditional concerns about technology. Is it going to take my job? Automation on the assembly line. Will it hurt workers? Will robots take jobs? Things like that. But these are the more interesting emerging technology policy concerns today. What about all that data that's being collected about me? How can it be used against me? That's a privacy concern or a reputational concern. What about the safety of these new technologies, these new things I can manufacture with 3D printing, or the things I can, I can use on my phone to diagnose myself, or the drones that fly in the sky, or the driverless cars that are on the roads? That's a safety concern. What about security? Well, can this device be hacked? Is this phone going to give away all my information? Is my computer, is my car going to be collecting information on me if it's a smart car? So those are the sort of concerns that drive precautionary principle thinking. Here's the problem with precautionary principle thinking. It took me 25 years to get to this one single phrase to sum it all up. I hope this is on my gravestone when I die. The problem with the precautionary principle is that we spend all of our time obsessing with worst case scenarios and making them the basis of public policy, then best case scenarios can never come about. It's only by embracing the idea of risk taking, which is the heart of innovation, right? It's taking a risk, doing something that's potentially bound up with some risk and the potential for failure. It's only by embracing that and learning from it that we prosper as a society.